They call it patriotism, but we call it what it is: pure, unfiltered bullshit. Welcome to Bluebird on Your Shoulder, where we cut through the MAGA madness with brutal honesty and zero apologies. No sugarcoating, no fake civility, just three guys, middle-aged and pissed off, breaking down the absurdity of right-wing delusion one episode at a time. If you think America deserves better than conspiracy theories and cult worship, you're in the right place. Liberal? Hell yes. Woke? Not a chance. We're here to roast the madness, expose the lies, and call out the grift. Because the only thing worse than MAGA's nonsense is pretending it makes sense. New episodes every week. Buckle up.
Bang, what's up? We're back. I'm back. They were here. I wasn't here. It was a good one. I hope you didn't miss it. If you did miss it, you should go back. It was a good one. So he talks in twos. He doesn't talk in threes. I don't know what to do about it. But this is Bluebird on Your Shoulder. We are back. So earlier today in our fun little group text, this asshole was like, what are we going to talk about tonight? It's been a relatively quiet week. And just like if you work in the restaurant industry or the hospital or you're a police officer, those are dirty words when you're a podcaster
Yeah.
tracking the Trump administration. And sure enough, about 5 minutes later, all hell broke loose. And we had all kinds of things coming at us rapid fire. I'll kick it right off with Trump's administration attempting to roundabout way appeal the SCOTUS ruling that they had to facilitate the return of the man from Maryland who wasn't naturalized but was a citizen. Not even wasn't kind of a citizen, was a citizen,
Yeah.
a temporary citizen, but a citizen, had the title of citizen, that Trump sent to El Salvador to the fucking gulag prison. So the administration is literally like, we're going to try to appeal the 9-0 SCOTUS ruling. Like, that means that both Republican cucks voted against you. Like,
Yeah.
there's a few who I think like might go, there's the three hardcore liberals, right? You're not going to see them go right very often.
Yeah.
You have the two extremely hardcore rights. You don't see them do this either. And they were like, yeah, this is so unconstitutional that
Yeah.
like we can't even make believe it's not unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Like, so in the administration, the judges in the fourth appeal circuit were like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this isn't difficult. This isn't a thing. What? No. Like, it's not. You have to go get him. Like, you have to go get him. Now, I've been having this argument because they're like, he's not he doesn't have rights. He came in the country illegally. But it's all that's true. It's true. So even then, I think the Constitution is pretty clear that you still have to give them due process. It shows up twice.
Any person.
Right. So any person, I think there is an interesting section, which if and when it ever comes down to challenging that in itself, I think that the fifth has an interesting little caveat in it. When in actual service, time of war, or public danger.
Yeah.
So, except in cases arising or in the militia, when actually service time. I feel like that's where their spin movement, like that line, is where they're going to put the attack in, to try to attack it. I'm interested to read those briefs, right, and see that
Right.
like a case could be built there. I see it. I don't agree with it, and I hope that at least 5 out of 9 justices agree if they decide to hear this. But I also want to take this opportunity to remind people that Auschwitz wasn't in Germany.
Nope. Yep.
It was in Poland.
Poland. Yep.
And it wasn't even the largest, most used camp. It was just
Right.
the most.
Which was also not in Germany.
Yeah.
So that's
Yep.
the moral. If you know what I mean, then you know what I mean.
Yep.
So, but now we've set a precedent where we can send a citizen without due process. And so somebody said to me earlier today and said, well, we bring him back and then we deport him again. Yeah, bring him back.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
You put him on trial.
Due process.
You put him on trial.
Mm-hmm.
You find him, whatever, you win the case.
Yep.
Bye.
Yeah.
It was done legally.
Right.
It wasn't, it's not, if he's really that bad of a person, I don't want him here. Cool, I'm
Right.
with you. Like, okay, I agree with you
Yeah.
on that. But how do you know that he's that bad person now, and or that he's not a citizen? You didn't give him
Because
the
he's not
opportunity to
white.
Yeah.
prove.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, but
gonna
you didn't
say
give him the
He's
opportunity. Oh, yeah.
brown.
But that's the bigger, larger issue, right? Like the
Right.
reason this matters so much is because what if they decide to say me, you, or Joe aren't a citizen? They can just put us on a plane and send us to the gulag without going to court.
Yep.
He's already talking about deporting the own felons. Hey, dummy, most of us who have felonies or had or are going to have don't have 34 with others pending.
I think the deal really behind that, I think it's interesting, right? Because politics is all game, right?
Yeah.
So it is realistic. If you look at the Democratic Party through and through right now, a lot of ex-prosecuting attorneys,
Mhm.
a lot of prison industrial complex, lobby, money. This is just his way to try to empty like the super maxes and hurt the people who wouldn't support him.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
And so
yeah.
he's not trying to round up people in the country that did something 30 years. He's going to empty the super maxes and hurt the prison industrial concept because they wouldn't kiss his feet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quite like what he's doing to Harvard.
Speaking of
Right.
his
Right.
ego, did you see on Monday when he had a cabinet meeting? He literally made every cabinet member tell him how great he was doing.
Oh, he's
Bef-
done that at almost every
Like,
single cabinet meeting. He did it. He did it his first round too.
I don't know if the bus thing's real. I've seen pictures that say that they have to wear like the Trump gold head bust. Like I've never seen one wearing it, but
I
I
wouldn't
just
doubt
saw.
it.
No, that's why it's sad, right? That I can see
Yeah.
that picture, and I don't know if this is just a funny
Right. Right.
meme or if this is fucking serious, because it could be fucking serious. And then
Yeah.
I have to wonder what happened to the country that I lived in. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's really weird that he just deported, and of course, they're all like, "Well, he's dead," and now people are saying like it's a slaughterhouse, and
Well,
you
and
know,
and one of the things that I found, really, really irritating is, now they're trying to throw their hands up in the air like, oh, well, they don't want to give them back. You
Yeah.
know,
both
they're
sides
not
are
willing to
doing the
send them
same
back
thing.
now. So they created a hostage situation, and now they're not willing to do anything about it.
Well, it's both, right? Both sides are saying the same thing.
Right.
So, because he went down there and he was told, well, they would have to, we can't smuggle them into America, then we'd be in trouble.
Right, right.
So they're both saying the same shit. Like it's like we're playing fucking telephone. What are we, five?
Yeah.
Like you're the United States of America. You tell El Salvador no more dollar, like you're telling
Yeah.
everybody else,
Right.
Yeah.
then da da da. But that's ain't something else you were talking about earlier that I don't definitely didn't get around to looking up. Countries selling bond debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the foreign banks, there was a huge sell-off last night. And I'm pretty positive it's been going on more than just last night, but it's being talked about now about the copious amounts of bonds being sold off. And I mean, it obviously has to do with the tariffs and people not wanting to deal with him because he's acting more so this way than last time of do what I say, how I say, when I say it, or we'll just jack up the tariff on you. And they realize they can go to China and not have to deal with the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And like the EU is doing, and like California is about to do, and go to other people to get things like we talked about last
Mm-hmm.
week. And our
I
our country will fold if California decides to separate from the union or go get things from the outside, because if they don't have to pay those federal tax dollars, we have no federal funding for all the aid for our people because their tax dollars alone fund all of that. That's how much money that economy produces.
No, I already know. They're the seventh largest
Fifth.
GDP
Fifth.
in the world.
They're the
In the
fifth.
world? Fifth in the world?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now? Damn.
Yes.
Okay, last time I knew they were seventh in the world.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that was a
world.
couple of years back.
That's
Yeah.
fifth in the world, top
In the
five.
world.
So the United
It-
States government, China are 1 and 2. I
Yep.
don't actually know who 3 or 4 are. In California, the state of California is
Yeah.
5. So because they know how to, because it's Democrat ran forever and we know how to make money.
Right.
Well, so, but I do think the China thing's really interesting. So I go on Twitter to be entertained by the MAGA circus animals, in a different kind of way, in that sick, twisted, dark side of me way. So, but in like the happy Disney side of me way, I like to go through TikTok. You know what I'm saying? So like, but the amount of Chinese creators who have come over to American TikTok and are like, it's fine. We make the shoe. Just buy it from us. Here's their WhatsApp. Like they're telling you where to go in China if you want to set up deals with them.
To buy
Like,
it direct.
Yeah.
they're dead serious. Like, hey, this is what we make. This is what we'll sell it to you for. So like, and then so one of the things they did is they've actually absolutely destroyed the luxury bag market.
Right.
Because like the $30,000 Hermes bag is made in France, and China's like, no, it's not. He was like, here, look, it's right here. And he had all these Hermes bags, right? And everyone's like, those are Hermes bags. And he's like, then we send it to France and they stitch their logo on it. And now they can put the made in France in it. So they're like, and we sell this to them for like $134. So and they're charging
I like the company Comfort, COMFORT. They make like the anxiety hoodies and pants and stuff like that, like the weighted hoodies for anxiety. I just got a text message from a couple hours ago about a sale they're doing to combat the Trump tariffs. Like they literally have a name. It's not just tariffs, it's the Trump tariffs. That they're giving 70% off.
Nice.
I mean, it's interesting, right? So the other one I ran into on TikTok that I think was great was the laundry pod. They showed all the brands they made that were all the same laundry pod from all over the world. Like it's all the same exact laundry pod, but depending on where it goes to in the world. And I mean, I know the brand here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a brand here for sure. They make it and they're like, look, we'll sell it to you, our brand, right? Same exact thing. Here you go. Look, exact same machines. We just put the different tubs. And they're like, we sell it to you for 3 cents a pod.
Nice.
Have it shipped to your door for 42 cents a pod with tariff.
Yeah.
And we start by selling in case of this. Hit up our WhatsApp. Like join it right here. We'll fucking ship it directly to you. Like they're gonna find ways to sell their product.
Yep.
They're a very resourceful. Like we have a friend that visited China a lot, bro.
Yep.
And I've talked to him about it, limited, I've watched him when he's in it in the Facebook. And one thing that may be true, we might not know the whole truth. Like China could have been something and maybe has moved farther away. I don't know, right? Like it seems to be pretty modern and pretty wealthy and like I don't know. Like maybe they're not as authoritarian as they once were.
Well, I think that some of that, honestly, I believe that a lot of that is just propaganda to keep us afraid, because having a big bad, wolf out there for us to cry about is helpful when it comes to justifying defense spending. And
because it was Russia in the late 70s and early 80s, and then it was in the 90s it became China because of human rights things, not necessarily the authoritarian of it, it was the human rights thing because back then they had a huge population issue. So there was, and I don't know if it was ever proven that if your firstborn was a female, they would toss it out the window.
There were isolated incidents of people actually doing stuff like that, but yeah, for the most part, it was.
So it gave them a bad rap, and so then that was our, it was the human rights. It was never about anything else.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's why China was bad.
Well, it was also an argument against, China bought goods and globalization, in the mid 90s, um,
Yeah.
when we were looking at NAFTA and stuff like that, those types of things were regular arguments to why we shouldn't globalize.
I mean, I think it's interesting to watch like China take our model at some point and adopt our model for industrialization. Right?
Mhm.
It's our model
Yep,
100% of
yep,
the way. Everything we did, they replicated. That's
yep.
exactly what they did. But then they did a little bit better and a little bit more technically advanced. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't necessarily think that's because they're better. Like, I'm not trying to say it from that. It's once you have something, you can build upon it. Right?
Right.
We built our pathway and our economy through it never been done before.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and way back when there wasn't the technology there is now.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah. So, but they just replicated it, right, in a future time, and they went through the industrialization, and that's actually where they are right now. They're in the height of that industrialization age, where I'd say we were at probably from the mid 40s, coming off the war,
Well, I
all the
think that
way
you're talking
through
about like
the 80s.
their infrastructure and stuff like that, but no, they've all the way caught up to us as far as that goes,
Oh
and
yeah.
they're more committed to cutting carbon than we are, and they've already cut theirs by like 40%
No, they
because
have. I
because
saw
they've been
something
able
about
to,
that.
like you said, because they had the basis to start from. They caught up to us real quick, and then while we were dealing with Trump the first time, they took a large step forward on the global scale and started doing like infrastructure projects in Malaysia and Africa and stuff like that. So they've really started to they took our template and they just fast forwarded it by 50 years.
Yeah,
So
I mean, but we were pivoting, right? And then that's where I think we're getting caught now, right?
right,
Like, so we
right.
were pivoting, right? We were pivoting to exporting high tech, exporting idea,
Yeah, yeah.
exporting
Intellectual
culture,
property and high
right?
and
Right.
technology. Yeah.
Like we moved in a different way, right? High end weaponry, like we pivoted, and we probably pivoted intentionally. Larger population by by fuck.
Yeah.
What is it? 100x? We got 300 million. They got 3
That sounds
billion.
about right. Yeah.
yeah, I
It's
think
a hundred. So it's a
Yeah.
hundred X. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's fucking 100x more population. So
Yeah.
they're obviously more suited to do that manual
Right.
labor,
Right.
right? Like that industrial labor, right? Like that
Yeah. That's
cheap
why they
labor,
are
right?
so much cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
So we refine a smaller generation, and we invest a bunch of money into the college system, and we invest a bunch of money into the student loan system because we're pivoting away, right? We know we're pivoting away. We know we're going to lose that race.
Right.
So we move to here, and then we have a group of individuals, for right, wrong, or otherwise. And there's, in my world, there's two types of blue collar work. Okay, there's skilled blue collar work.
Right.
You know, fireman, officer, right? Like, you know,
Plumber, electrician,
carpenter, right?
pipe
Carpenter,
fitter.
electrician, mechanic, right? Like
Right.
skilled manual labor. And then there's unskilled labor.
Right.
the
You
factory.
know,
Yeah.
screw part in,
Right.
pick part, put on truck, right? Like
Yeah.
that's, you know what I'm saying? I'm be honest, drive truck, right? Like if you can drive, that's the skill. So like things of that nature, right? Like so unskilled labor is like that group of people didn't want to boom up, and that's MAGA. Like that's the breadth of MAGA right there. Is that group of individuals, and then adjacent, right,
Yeah.
to that group, right, start to. So now it's bigger than that, but at the end of the day, that's the group that like is rah these tariffs that are absolutely shattering all of what we're good at. Like so, the tariffs and the moving, like Nvidia's like, okay, cool, we'll make them here. Like they don't care. So okay, that should be enough that you should relieve all pressure on them, not let them take a $5.5 billion hit.
Yeah.
because the factory they're going to have to build, it's going to cost them $30 billion.
Well, their initial willingness is caveated by the fact that they're gonna want tax subsidy
Right.
in order
Well, of
to
course they
offset
will.
that cost.
But
So
it's going to cost them 30 billion, right? But
yeah, well,
so
no, it's gonna
during
cost
that
us 30
time,
billion.
yeah, that's true. That's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
But during that time, you'll get your unskilled and skilled labor,
Sure.
right? You'll get that. But then when we get down to actually making microprocessors, where you will need security clearance to be in the building, there's no more jobs for the unskilled labor. There's no more jobs for MAGA.
Yeah.
Right.
The college kids will have jobs
Yep.
because those are STEM jobs. Because it's a microprocessor. This isn't making a widget
Yeah.
or a piece of plastic. And so they're like, yeah, look, we won. No, you didn't. We did. Thanks.
Yeah.
Like you did. You got us for this. So yeah, during the time they built the plant, sure, you're gonna have a job. But this isn't a coal mine.
Right.
You know what
Well,
I'm
he's trying
saying?
to
So
open
like,
those back up again.
and I know that they all put their nose in the air at it, but when he said like we'll pay you to learn how to code, you should have taken him up on the offer.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they did. They put that program is actually still there. That program is there. Like if you were in these industries that we have to pivot away from to continue growing our economy and moving in the future, we
Yep.
will pay you to teach you a skill that is 5 million times less physically demanding and pay 6 times better than what you were making.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to pay you to learn it. And we're going to teach it to you for free. And kids go to college and pay 70, 80, 90, 200, 300, 700 grand to learn this.
Yeah.
And we're going to pay you to learn it. And they put their noses at it. And it's like, I'm sorry, we can't, because you need a job, we can't stay stuck in the past.
Well, it wasn't just that they just didn't do it. They had to, they had to learn math. So
Yeah, they probably turn their nose up at it because they know they're not intelligent enough to understand. So I mean, yeah, like in a way he's hurting his own base, right? As far as not having those jobs. And reminds me of an article I saw earlier today of a farmer said if he had to do it all over again, knowing it was going to be like this, he would not, and more than likely will not vote red next time because he has already lost 150K.
Bro.
That's going to be a major issue if farmers have to sell and can't produce crops because of these tariffs.
Okay, so the crops are a problem for sure, but they're
Yeah.
not like a dire fucking emergency.
Not yet.
But China coming out and saying, okay, you want to play? Cool. We're not buying beef from you anymore.
yeah.
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 That is a death blow
Yeah.
Yes.
to cattle ranchers.
Yeah.
That is it's a death blow.
Yeah.
And then I actually was on Magaville Twitter today and talking to a guy because to this point he hadn't just hit the bridge. And he was like, well, we'll just pivot to India.
The fastest growing economy in the world.
No.
They don't eat
No,
beef,
no, I
bro.
know, I
They're
know.
Hindu.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. No,
The
that's
cow
what
is a
they
holy
are
sacred
happy, like-
animal to
Yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah. Very
Like, and
sacred. Yeah.
I typed in, are you serious? And
And
he's like, yeah. And he gave me some stuff like this population. I'm like,
Yeah.
do you understand how many of them are Hindu and think the cow is sacred and don't eat it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know that, do you? Like, we can't just pivot anywhere on this one because
Right.
they're 100x population.
Yeah.
And they like beef because they like to be like American. They
Yeah.
do. Right. So they eat all the steaks and have all the steakhouses, right? And they do, and they have their own sector, but it's almost their sector is pretty much very Wagyu
Yes.
motivated, like it's specialty, it's specialized. Like it's not bulk beef.
Yeah.
And we've built, farmers will always be the cornerstone.
Oh, yeah.
In every way, they'll be the cornerstone of the America, like the ability to farm east to west instead of north to south, right? And the ability to farm protein,
Yeah.
at the levels at which we farm proteins.
Yeah.
Like but it's just a death blow to them, and they're like, "Fuck." And
Well, and he hurt him last time too. It's just it seems
they
to be worse
told
this time.
well because he doesn't give a fuck. Because last
But they
time
still voted for him even after.
because last time the GOP put people around him.
Yeah.
You see how many people he fired? You want to know why he fired all of them? Because they told him no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because they said you can't fucking do that. Because they were actually like,
Yeah, he wants nothing but yes.
I didn't agree with them, right? I don't agree with their policy, but it's their policy I don't agree with. They're an American.
Right.
They're absolutely positively a red, white, and blue, God-fearing, want to do great for America American. I don't agree with your policy, but your heart's in the right place. I know that. This isn't that. And they saw that very quickly, and they're like, no, because doing that's not American. Like, yes, if you were in fucking China or North Korea or Iran or Iraq, you could do this. But you specifically cannot do this here. And this time he doesn't have those people.
Right.
He's got a literal clown car of insanity. Like, and they're just like all almost Stepford crazy. Like, it's so unbelievably white. Like, not just white, but like white. Yeah. Like, you don't season your chicken. You can't be in the sun more than 4 minutes. And
you have Crusader tattoos on you.
Yeah.
You put enough sugar in your Kool-Aid.
Yeah, like it is the saltiniest of crackers, dude. Yeah. Like, I'm just like, holy shit. Like, he just has all these people and they're complete whack shops. Like, the press secretary does not know she was hired because she's pretty with tits, bro. She has no idea that that's what happened. But I have to try to understand, why did she pick the Michael Jackson nose, dude? She got it. If you go look at before and after, she picked the Michael Jackson nose. Like, why did you do that? You're already white. He tried to become white. Big difference. Like, it's just they're insane. And that's why it's so different this time, because he gets to yeehaw however the fuck he wants. And then we get to watch him be unbelievably pissed off at the judges who are collectively like, no.
Yeah.
But I got to put it out there. Where in the fuck is our Congress and our Senate? What the fuck are you guys doing?
They're rebelling against him for one. I mean, there was 12 Republicans are trying to get this budget bill passed. There's 12 that outright said, I cannot support that and will not. So that just further goes to show the MAGA Civil War is live and well. And I feel like it's going to keep growing with all the shit that he's doing.
Well, it's
just getting to that point that unless you're like the extreme, like MGT and those people that like, they're just going to be like, this ain't right. Can't support it. And they're going to back away because at some point in a year, so they have to start pivoting to try to, like, their jobs are on the line.
Yeah.
So I've noticed a lot of old people at these town halls.
Oh,
they're definitely not getting paid to be there, bro. These are been Americans for a long time and seen some shit, right? And it's literally like, I feel terrible for them because they're literally out here like, again, the fuck are these kids doing?
Yeah.
Like, because the kids who voted him in, like, what the fuck? And I saw a bunch of them. What is it? I can't say her name right. I'm pretty sure it's Alaska Murkowski. It's technically an independent, but she typically votes red.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
So she's having a town hall last night, and they asked her, like, what the fuck? Why are you guys not doing anything? Yeah. And she was forward as fuck about it because we're scared of the retaliation.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
The young
because
people
we're scared.
No. Reps.
The actual senator said it.
Yeah.
Because we're afraid of the retaliation.
Yeah.
This is the most un-American shit.
Yeah.
Like, the dystopian novels didn't even come close to getting it right.
Right.
Because nobody saw this as even being a fantasy possibility in this country. That America would lose Americanism. My senator just said she's afraid of my president, while my judges are telling my president, you're a fucking nut job. Stop. But, and nobody's doing anything.
Still gonna listen to arguments.
And then I can't get into that last part. The amount of I have seen more veteran defection. I'm seeing it pick up steam, especially with the deportation. I saw it pick up some good steam.
Yep.
Like, whoa, this is a bridge too far. So, but the amount of veterans who are like, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah, it's still insane.
It's
Like a huge amount.
one thing you got to remember is that we're not all the brightest crayons, you know.
okay, so I'm not. I take no pride in this, and I do appreciate everyone who served, but I have been like, were you an ASVAB waiver?
Yeah.
I've started asking them, like, were you a waiver, bro? Because fuck, dude, this is like you can't tell me what you're seeing is okay.
Well, you got to remember,
Yeah.
not only were we not the brightest tools in the shed, we didn't have a whole lot of direction, which is why we joined the army or military. And then when we got in, we were brainwashed. So,
Programmed to be that military
yeah,
robot.
we get programmed in order to do the job that we need to do, and we were programmed to do it with pride in country. So the problem with that is then when you get out and you move to civilian life and you don't have the army um to serve, then you fall into a tribe.
Yeah.
And a lot of veterans will congregate together. That's why we have the Legion, the VFW, stuff like that. But a lot of them have been Republicans just because that's what because we like guns.
No, that
Yeah.
makes sense. No, no, no. Like with the military being Republican for a majority of my lifetime,
Right.
it makes complete and total sense.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is then as things became polarized, now now it's pick your tribe. And military members, veterans are going to tribe up, and they're going to protect their tribe no matter the cost, right or
Yeah, I
wrong.
just with
So,
because that's the ultimate kicker, right? Like I I like what I've seen so far with the judicial challenges, and
mhm.
sooner or later, I don't know. I think we can make it. Either Congress is going to get the rocks out of their socks, or
They're going to have to they're
or
going
the
to have to do
amount
enough.
of blue people voted in 26 will make it not matter because you're done. You're
Right.
done. He's done. He's done. We're impeaching all of you.
Oh yeah.
Well,
And that way,
the
the
trend is
Senate pro
looking.
tem can be the fucking president for the next 2 years. It's
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
know who that is
And
right
the
now,
trend
but
is
that's
looking that way, with some of
yes.
those counties, that he won 70% of, and then all of a sudden, like we barely lose it.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge indicator. And I think we talked about that a little bit
Yep.
last
Last week.
week.
Yep.
Like these trends are going in that direction to
Yep.
where we just have to make it to November of 26.
Yeah. Well, and
Well,
it needs to.
January of
well,
27, but
right.
yeah.
Yeah. When they take,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it needs to tidal wave into that too. Like it requires
Overwhelming.
participation, you know. And
Well,
so what I was gonna say is that for the Republicans to stand up and start to reject a lot of what Trump is doing is they have to evaluate their donor list. They have to work with the RNC and kind of decide what the game plan is. That's the one thing that the Republicans have done well is that, they're all on the same page because they're all paid to play through the same, checkbook. So
Right.
they're not going to stand up to him until they have guarantees that his retribution isn't going to cost them their lives or their livelihoods.
fuck
So,
that. That's exactly what you got to put on the line at this point. We don't have
Yeah.
a choice. You don't have a choice anymore because if you don't, we'll have to.
well,
At
and
some point, it's going to come to that, right?
yeah,
Like, and I'm not saying who's going to win or lose because I don't know.
yeah,
I just know how brutal and bloody and how many people are going to die and how we will not come out of it
No.
ever the same.
no,
The China will completely take our position in the world, and they will hold us with an iron fist, like we have held this earth for an iron fist.
They're already nipping at our ankles for it
Yeah,
right,
but they
right
can't.
now.
They either to fight us at this point still you would lose so much that it would do the same thing that we'll do to ourselves if we fight a civil war. If they
Yeah.
fought us, both of us would be done. And there would be a
Yeah.
third country that would have to rise up and claim the, you know
Well,
what I'm
that's,
saying?
you know,
Or, you know, if the aliens are out there watching this is a good time.
ouch.
Yeah, no, they could just come down and then we can be human. Because
Well,
you
yeah.
come attack us, then we could be human. But
Well,
take him.
we
Yeah.
have to kill off the dumb ones first, and then they'll come down and say, all right, we can deal with what's left.
Yeah.
So
So I'm just like, now would be a good time.
yeah, right.
Now we're so pleased. I also saw and they're all up in arms about it, right? Saw a TikTok and they shared it on the Magaville land place. They're big mad about it, dude. Big mad. This girl put this video up that's just basically like the whole world when the headline comes. And it was like all this cheering, and you know, it was like 3 minutes worth of like the most fantastic shit ever. And they're all like, FBI threatening the president's life. I'll be like, it's so bad you knew what she meant.
Right.
Like they don't realize, like, bro, she didn't say it. She just said what the whole world's gonna be like when the headline comes, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
You knew what headline she was talking about, just
Yep.
like I did, and I was like,
Yep.
yes. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not
If there
saying
would
for
ever be a
somebody,
time
and I'm
that
no, and I'm not. No, see, I would just rather, you know, mother the energies, the whoever it is, understand that, you know, we need you. You know, and I don't want somebody to go do it because that leads to that war I want to avoid that
Right.
destroys the country forever. Like,
That's-
I'm so glad dude missed.
Yep.
If that's, I don't know, I'm starting to wonder about that. Like, he definitely hit the other two, and that's sad they had to go. But so, but you were shooting at him, I guess, maybe. And if you were, you know, I'm glad you missed because it would have been the war. It would have. The war would have happened.
I
So,
don't know.
because
At that point, I think that somebody, you know, JD Vance or you know, somebody would have been able to, you know, take that rah and punch it home.
you know
You
what, you're probably right. You're
know?
probably actually right about that.
Yeah. I mean that would have been a
Yeah, but I
guarantee.
don't think Vance is anything like this. Like, I don't like the dude, right? And who
Yeah, no,
breaks the trophy? Who breaks
he
the trophy?
himself a couple of years ago was saying how awful Trump would be for
Oh,
you
in
know, before the
16,
first
bro.
term.
Yeah, I know. He said it's because he watched CNN. So yeah, I'm serious. That's what he said.
But then he bowed down and kissed
Um,
the pinky ring.
yeah. So, but it's funny, dude. The amount of memeing the Chinese government is doing
Oh yeah, they're
on
trolling the shit.
they
It's crazy.
do it on the official pages on Twitter of our government. And they're like coming and posting these memes. Like the one you put in came from there. So they were talking about
memes?
Trump. Yeah. The Secretary of State page was talking about Trump holds all the cards, and they're the ones who came in and put that meme.
Oh yeah.
Trump held all the cards. We
They
made the
said we
cards.
make the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then their guy came out and was like, "Yeah, China's been around for 5,000 years, and for the vast majority of that, America didn't even exist.
Yeah.
We're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna be fine." And they're right. They're ancients, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then JD Vance's gonna call them peasants. Like, that's not knowing your enemy, right? Like, not
Right.
knowing your, like, they're
Or
proud
not
of
knowing
that.
your ally. You
Well,
know?
yeah, but they're proud of that, right? Like, they're super proud that they were built and founded and driven by peasants, quite like we're super proud that we were by pilgrims.
Yeah. Well.
Like, it's you know what I'm saying? We've changed, things have changed, bro, but they still did it. Old white men in white wigs, dude. That's all I'm saying. Some English shit if I've ever seen it. But no, I'm fuck, dude. I don't know what this dude's gonna do. And you said it, like we could have maybe had a whole peaceful week or something, but then you had to talk.
I thought we were just going to talk about hiding the eggs because Jesus is coming and we don't want him to find them.
Yeah. God, eggs. So I do think it's funny that the press secretary, she used to wear this like really big cross. And she
Oh.
hasn't been wearing it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because that TikTok lady makes fun of her and impersonates her. and she like can't stand it because they're about the same age. Because she's really young. Comes from a mega rich family, married a mega rich dude. Got the Michael Jackson knows. I don't like her either because she's like, you're not going to sit here and lecture me about economics. Well, somebody fucking should because
Right.
you don't know shit about economics. Like
Yeah,
that's
clearly she skipped that class.
yeah, like it's so unbelievably weird how they just like they're seeing it. Like I'm seeing them see it, and the creative ways they're coming up with like flipping it. And eventually they're going to run out of those ways. They got to, right? Like
Yep.
eventually you got to run. I just need a little bit less of the, like, we're still to where the combat veterans are capable. So if we were another 20 years in the future, it'd be a little different, right?
Yeah.
Like, so, but the actual combat veterans. So, you know, like I don't know Desert Storm #1. I don't know much about it. It feels kind of like a sightseeing tour. So you know what I'm saying? So,
It
because
was
if it
4 days.
wasn't a sight, yeah, if it
Well, yeah, it
wasn't,
was the
well,
shock and
so
awe
what?
was so
Yeah,
overwhelming. Then we literally turned it into a sandbox and then rebuilt it.
No, he's talking about 91.
Yeah,
So
I know. Yeah, 4 days. We went in there with the shock and awe and blew up all the
it was
radio
shock and awe. That's true.
communication,
No,
and that
shock and
was
awe
it.
came. Yeah, but no, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It was more of a sightseeing tour. It wasn't actually war.
yeah,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but then we had Iraq, Afghanistan, because if it was war, we wouldn't have had Iraq, Afghanistan.
right.
You know, Iraq
Right.
2, Afghanistan 1.5.
Yeah.
So, because it was Russia the last time, but, you know, and we obviously didn't learn anything from that because Russia got their asses kicked there too. So, because geography matters, and we'll leave it at that, right? Like, geography matters.
Yeah.
So, it, but I don't know. I don't know what's like, we're bombing ports.
Yeah. Blew up
Eh,
a fuel port there in Yemen,
well, I
and
mean,
supposedly it was because it was helping the Houthis.
well, yeah. I mean, I mean, so we're not doing, we're doing trade war with China, right? Not war,
Right. Right.
Right.
right? We're besties and our sugar daddy's Putin. So we're
Right.
not doing war with China either.
Right.
So we have to fight a proxy war somewhere.
Yeah.
Our GDP, I mean, our GDP demands it. Like
Right.
we're still way too military industrial complex.
Yep.
Like we got to have a proxy war somewhere. So this is our now Iran bad. So, and
Well,
it's like all Americans got some bad guy, bro. Like we all have a villain. You know what I'm saying? So, like, depending on the generation, there's a villain. So it looks like they're going to make Iran and the people they're deporting that weren't citizens and they revoked their ability to be here.
Yeah.
That's legal. So there's
Right.
nothing to really, right? You revoke their ability to be here and you tell them they got to go home. You don't arrest them and send them to a foreign fucking prison. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And you send them home. And okay, cool. That's legal. They did it, right? I don't agree with them doing it. I think they are here and we allow them to be here and they should, you know, be allowed to have First Amendment protection and say whatever they want to say, even if it's fuck us, because you came here to go to school. So I think it's really interesting to watch you say fuck us while you came here to go to our schools. So that's always like an interesting thing. That's like, you know, walking around, you know, with a redhead talking about how you don't like redheads. Like that's just a strange reality, right? Like, you know, and so now it's going to be Israel on one side. And now we're gonna like he doesn't like the Arabs, man. He's a New
Well,
Yorker.
that's where a lot of his, the Christian nationalists don't, they're all about Israel, and then Arab racism is just really easy, because
Well, I mean, Christian nationalists, the Crusades, Muslims, it goes together like
Yeah.
peas and carrots, and it
yeah,
has
yeah.
for thousands of years.
Well, not to mention,
Um,
like, then it's easy to point to 9/11. So those
That's what I'm
proxy
saying.
wars are
He's a New
easy because,
Yorker, so he's very partial to the Muslim
right.
hate, right? Like I get that. I don't understand why, right? Like because he is actually a New York Democrat. I'll say that until I turn fucking purple. But they wouldn't let him in the club, and that hurts his feelings. And now we can clearly see what he does to people who hurt his feelings. So
Yep,
they
yep,
wouldn't let him in the club. They hurt his feelings, and now he's fucking up the whole world. Thanks, guys.
yeah. Yeah.
Like you couldn't
Or
have
just let
taken
them
one for
enjoy.
the team. Yeah, you just could have taken one for the team, right? So now we're gonna hate them, and it's gonna be that. And the only one they like is Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia has money
Yeah.
Well,
and lots of
because
money.
they give us oil. So we
Well,
deal
yeah,
with
though they give us oil, they have shitloads of money now. Kirshner and them do huge real estate deals, right?
sure.
And then we're really good with the is it UAE, Dubai?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Dubai.
So,
Yeah.
dude, look, I'd like to go to Dubai. It looks pretty
Oh,
cool.
it's
I
Seriously.
wouldn't go to Dubai because
real
the,
cool.
the laws are too strict, and I'd probably fuck up and end up in prison.
Now, I mean,
Uh,
you just can't drink, you know. Other than
oh,
that,
that's fine.
yeah. So
You,
most of the rest, they don't allow you to be ridiculous, which is normally things that we only do when we're drinking. So as long as we're not drinking, we're just fine.
Yeah, I mean, if the
no,
WWE can go over there on a regular basis,
Yeah.
you know.
you act ridiculous when you're drinking. I sit there like so. Um, no, I just think it's interesting how we just pivot this way, and nobody sees what's really going on. And now the flat earthers are all in an uproar too because the I have no idea why the fuck Katy Perry went to space with like
Oh,
10 other. I like that it was all females. I think that was kind of cool. I don't really understand. I didn't look into it. Don't really care, to be brutally honest.
yeah.
But
Right.
saw
So,
it, and
so
now the flat earthers are like, it's staged, it's fake, and I'm like, you know, being stupider than the average person on Twitter is fucking hard.
It's just
But
it's just them showing their
they
ass and
find a
lack.
way to do it.
It's just them showing their lack of intellect. Those are the same people that swear we didn't land on the moon and that it was
Yeah,
all a green screen. It's like, hey, dummy, we didn't have green screen technology for like 25 years later.
maybe.
and the shadows and the level of brightness necessary in order to do that would be like I think I saw it was like a bank of like 25 by 40 foot like the largest halogen lights that they had available.
So I used to be around a guy who was very conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
Uh,
and I enjoyed the time and that extracurricular activities and the conversation, right?
and the
Like,
papers you wrote
so
for him.
I no, that's a totally different person.
Okay.
So I did dive some of the holes, right? Like I mean deep, like because I would be prepared for the next conversation, right? Like,
Yeah,
okay, you're gonna spar with me and I'm gonna be prepared. And we did, it was healthy and fun and entertaining for like 3, 4 weeks. And then he hit me with science was made up so I would believe what I would believe. And I was like,
yeah.
so we're done.
Yeah.
Like we're done. Like we can no longer you have now entered a premise into the conversation. We can no longer conversate
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's so unbelievably fucking ludicrous. That
Well,
because
and
I have countered you
yeah.
with hard scientific facts. And the reason I remember is because that was one of the facts. He brought up the brightness, and then I let him walk right into it where I was like it would have to be the sun.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm like, yeah, like that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Right enough to do that, huh? So it's interesting that it was that
So
right.
yellow and blue
Uh,
does make green.
yeah, but yeah, like, and it's that though, right? Like, so that's the method of like he was a good guy. Don't get me wrong, he was a cool guy, just not a smart person
Right.
in any way, shape, or form, right? Like, and that's what happened, right? Like, you can't win because there's no facts to support you, and there's
Right.
all the facts to support me.
Hmm.
So you create some ludicrous fucking premise
Yeah,
out
that
of
all the
thin
facts are
air.
from a liberal university, so they're automatically
Yeah.
biased.
Yep.
Correct. That's what I'm like, a ludicrous premise
Yep.
Yeah.
that makes it so we can no longer have this. And that's what, like, so every once in a while, people are like, honey and vinegar. And I'm like, the circus animals? Like, I call them much other things, but the circus animals are No, you can't argue with them because they
Yeah.
live in premise that's so delusional and so unfactual and not rooted in anything. They've created a world where I can't be right
Right.
because A, B, or C, D, E, F, G, X squared. Like, okay, so why would I argue with them? Now I'll just make fun of them and ad
Yeah.
hominem attacks on them. Yes. Why? Because it's fucking a form of entertainment for me. You're a goddamn
Right.
circus animal and you never fail to dance for me. They
Yeah.
dance every time and they don't
Yep.
realize it. Then I tell them, you're just a dancing bear and I'm watching you dance and I'm making you dance and I'm throwing you treats. And you don't understand. I don't. I don't. And I shouldn't do that because they're human. I don't give a fuck.
Well,
Because you're
I mean,
destroying my goddamn country and you need to
yeah.
go back to not fucking voting.
Or at
And the
least
GOP
keeping
needs to
your hate in the closet where it belongs.
no, and the Republicans that are Republicans that still exist because there are the MTGs and the Gates who got fucked, and then the Salwell. No, Salwell's on our side. I don't remember. Josh Hawley, the runner. So they're just full. But a majority of the GOP, they're not. And I know you're scared of the retribution. Why do you have to be scared of the retribution? Vote with us. He's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And if
one
he
simple
doesn't go at that point, then the military better be with us. But it doesn't matter. It's on.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, if you're like, no, I'm staying, I no longer have an option.
Well, and the
I
next
don't,
steps.
and it sucks because I like it. I like being alive, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I'd live through that war because I'm fucking old. My knees hurt, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a big part of surviving is being able to duck. Yeah, I mean, I think that the next steps are where, the American checks and balances that our Constitution put together are going to be the most important, because if they're not willing to speak against him, and SCOTUS is too beholden to, to not listen to birthright citizenship, then, we've only got a couple steps before it
Look,
all
you're
falls
right.
apart.
If SCOTUS goes 9-0 against, or even 7-2, I'd take 7-2. I'd even take 6-3 Kavanaugh's a fuck too. So, but if it went 9-0 or 7-2 birthright, then I think Justice Roberts is playing the long game. I think Chief Justice deserves a spot, and he's that smart, right? And playing the long game to get this the fuck out of the way before mini Trump comes next,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And get this on the books. If they rule in his favor, we're fucked.
Yeah. I mean,
There's no more
I want
maybe fucked.
yeah.
What do you think the fallout is going to be from Trump if they vote against him? He is going to rail so hard against
Real.
Scott.
Don't give a fuck.
Well, no, I know, but I just think he's going to create a huge uproar about it.
Well,
That's cool.
what about
Well, I
the
mean,
whole, well, he's going to he's
I mean,
gonna
he's currently throwing a
no matter
full
what,
fucking bitch fit little pussy ass
Yeah.
bitch
Yeah.
But
about J-pop.
but then is he going to look at expanding the Supreme Court like what we talked about when Biden was in?
Yeah. So like
Packing the court.
something like that. Yeah.
No, I don't see. I think that would be a move where then if SCOTUS rules against him and he tries to pack the court, but Congress won't play ball, then at least we know we got something going here.
True.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and that's how I would prefer it. I don't want to have to fight other Americans. I think
Right.
that's stupid.
Well,
You
I
know
don't
what
know.
I'm saying?
I don't know if expanding
dude,
SCOTUS is the answer either.
no,
because-
if they impeached him or SCOTUS ruled against him and he just went on a complete haywire, we're bound by the Constitution to step up at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's or the experiments completely failed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and
the
human
military
beings
has
don't
a
deserve
duty
freedom.
to
They
Yeah.
better fucking
not
do
follow
their job. dude.
those orders because they're unlawful. So
Well, no,
Yeah.
that's what he would try to do, right? He definitely
yeah.
tried to. But
So
he
that is something
finding
that I
ways
am
to
kind of concerned about, because every day I'm seeing more and more top brass that are getting pulled. The commander for Greenland, Air Force Special Forces, one of the top Marine commanders. All of them have been removed because of a loss in confidence, which basically means that they were vocal about disagreeing with something that was coming down the pike. So, and
No, 100%, right? And I seen I don't know, I think it was an Air Force base where they turned his advances in old beat my wife drunk guys picture on the chain of command wall backwards. So they put their face to the wall for those three at the top. And they're big mad about that shit.
oh
Bro.
yeah, yeah,
They're big mad about that shit. Of course, they immediately said it was the black woman.
yeah.
So did you hear about the track incident in Texas where the young African American killed the white boy?
No.
Okay, you should definitely look this up because it's gonna be a fucking thing. All right, so his name's Carmelo. I actually think his name's Carmelo Anthony. No bullshit, but it's with a K, not a C.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did see this. Now that
Yeah,
you said
and then
I did see that.
the kid who died's name was Austin Wall Metcalf. Austin Metcalf. So he is a white boy. So there's a lot of stories, but ultimately there was an altercation between those two, and Carmelo pulled a blade and stabbed him in his chest, and he died. So this is
Huh?
Texas. This is at a high school track meet. These are young children. Okay, they're both 7, right?
The
So
twin.
yeah, they were twins, correct?
Yeah, I did see that.
Austin,
Yeah.
yes, Austin was a twin, right? So I've read the police reports, like those are public. Um, it's interesting because Carmelo instantly started saying it was self-defense. And they've tried to spin it that like he was looking up self-defense laws. I've been around long enough to know there's more cookies in this jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been around enough and I had a hard enough life and I did the things I did and was exposed to the worlds I was exposed to enough to know there's more cookies in this jar.
Yeah.
Right? Like so I've heard accounts where the two white boys or the group of white people were actually the aggressors. And he numerous warned them, don't, I will defend myself, and showed them the blade and said he would use it.
Yep.
And so if that's true,
All he has to do is say, "I feared for my life."
This is Texas.
Yeah.
Their stand your ground law is the most fucking kill everybody out of all.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Their castle doctrine is the strongest fucking kill everybody. We don't care. Right? So
yeah, there's a court that's got the express lane for the chair.
So it's gonna boil, right? Now, you look it up, there's all kinds of crazy stuff like Carmelo had a GoFundMe, his bill was $1 million. They dropped it to 250,000. GoFundMe, because they charged him with murder. GoFundMe dropped him because you can't raise money for crimes.
Right.
But then this other program like Give, Send, Go allowed it. Raising cake, bro. $1.5 million. Like you gotta pay the milli. So they're spending it on like Escalades and like a really ritzy house, and it's real, dude. It's all a little crazy. And the father came out and said he forgives the kid, and it shouldn't have happened, and like da da da. But then he showed up to the presser today, like all like looking like he was going to shoot the room up, and because he was asked to leave numerous times, he wouldn't leave. But this is my thing. It's in Texas, so there's a chance that I think when we know everything, this will be clear self-defense. Like, yeah, you're probably a bitch and you should have fought, but self-defense.
Yeah.
However, if they lock him up,
then it's racism.
We're gonna see Summer of Love 2.0.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna. So they would be best to not expedite this, but it's Texas, and they're gonna fucking expedite it, bro. And we might see Summer of Love 2.0, and if that happens, his response to that, because he tried to use the fucking military that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the people around him wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
This dude blows him. So
well, and he's already using the military. You know, he's
Yeah.
using them at the border. He's got them ramping up for ops against
Mexico.
Canada and Mexico. You know, they just sent a whole bunch of troops into Europe,
Yeah.
to solidify Germany, and and they are operating not just in their normal AO in Germany. They are out doing maneuvers around the EU. That's a freaking threat if I've ever heard of
Yeah,
one.
to show that they can pick up and do it wherever.
Exactly. Like, yeah, keep fucking around, EU. We'll go ahead and take you too. You
That would
know?
be that's what I'm saying. We got El Salvador with Poland, right? Like just in a different context, right?
Right, right.
And then we have where we might just like Greenland, might try to scoop one up and put it in our pocket.
Hmm.
Like the playbook doesn't get any fucking clearer.
Yeah.
Like and
Spread yourself
ignoring
thin.
the court saying you got to bring him back. And that's what I said. Bring him back, put him on trial, find him guilty, win your case, send him back. I got nothing to
Right.
say. And
Yeah.
anyone who has something to say, I'll defend you.
Right.
And be like, no, he was given due process, which is the bottom line for me. Because
Yeah.
I don't want him to be able to pick me up off the street because I don't like him.
Right.
That's what I'm defending. Like people are
Yeah.
like, you're defending their rights. No, the fuck I'm not. I'm defending my own.
Yes.
I'm defending mine and yours and everybody
Yeah.
else in this country is that
Yes.
you can't do that to us.
Yeah.
So, and if you do that to us, we're supposed to fuck you up.
Yeah. There's a
So,
whole amendment surrounding what we're supposed to do when they violate the first one.
Yeah.
they put them in order.
Right.
They do this, you do this. That's when you do this. So
Yeah,
it's
and
just
then once
it's
again you
really
got all these
interesting.
and then once again you got all these people saying, well, this is so biased. They never did this to any other president. No other president has continually broken the law.
And been this
Correct. Right.
Like this
that's
is
what
the first administration ever that's being held in contempt for directly defying a judge's order.
So you brought up an interesting stat that 20 only what was it 9% of college kids have more than a third grade the reading or understanding of the Constitution.
Yeah.
It was
19 or 9
no,
because you said 81 didn't, right? Which means 19 did.
yeah,
And
it was
Okay,
like
so
19%.
yeah,
No,
I
19
phrased it the
students, right?
opposite. You did.
19% of college students have a third grade level understanding of the Constitution.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Or better.
No.
And 81% are third grade or lower.
Like that was
so
the average of
20%.
whatever poll was.
So 20% of college students only have a third grade understanding. And the other 80% have a greater understanding. Cool. I think that number is completely flipped with Mac.
Yeah.
And it might be fucking healthy because it might be 95%.
Yeah.
To have a third grade understanding of the Constitution.
Yeah, maybe they're probably at a law college or something.
Right, which is what empowers him. The stupid people fucking empower him, dude. They really do. They really, really do. So, and he thinks he's above it all. He does. And the courts are doing their job right now. Congress, the House and the Senate need to get the fuck off their ass.
Yeah, they do.
Or we need to send them the fuck home.
Well, and that's like people need to be calling. Like everybody needs to be calling.
I think the old people are calling, bro.
So there are a lot of people calling. Like I know some of our reps and the people that work for them. And there are a lot of people that are calling, but not a lot of them are sending meaningful communication.
Yeah. They're just calling and bitching.
Yeah, like stop,
I don't think
stop supporting a rapist,
Oh, yeah, that's not helpful.
Right.
So, entertaining, but not helpful.
Right.
So
and it's dismissed by any elected official. Like if it's not structured right, then it's ignored, which is why one of the reasons why there are threats to some veteran benefits right now that are going on. And so one of the things that, lobbying does do a good job of is the lobbyist or the lobbying group will put together letters that, people can just copy and paste and send, you know. And so, when you see something about, you know, work against, HR 670-1 or anything like that, that's uniform code of military justice, by the way. If you see stuff like that, then you can get the emails and contact information for your reps and just copy and paste that into an email. If they get enough of those duplicates, then they have to address the issue. So,
Well, let's do it. So, no, I heard that was a thing, right? Like,
yep.
it's just everybody's fucked, dude.
Mhm.
Everybody's fucked. So, but yeah, look into some Carmelo Anthony because I'm telling you, it's going to be the hot bucket this year, and it has to be in Texas, bro, because
Of course.
Texas.
Yeah.
No, of course would be Florida.
Right.
So, let's be honest. Of course it'd be Florida, Texas.
Yeah.
Just like not shocking.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
but
shocking
that's
because they charged him,
with murder. Well, no, it's not.
Yeah.
He's black.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's
well,
come on.
that's what makes it the hot button.
They lowered his bond, right?
Oh, they did lower it?
Yeah, to 250, from $1 million to 250.
I mean, that's
But
in line.
it's because the judge is black and female. That's why that happened.
No,
That's what they said. And the fact that she was appointed by Reagan.
I'm kind of shocked that they're even offering bond on a murder charge.
Oh, but
because
he's a minor.
He's a minor. Like, he's Texas. They gave him a bracelet.
Yeah, he'd be on an anklet.
They gave him an anklet, dude. So, but just it's gonna be a hot topic. But yeah, that's our hour for this week. See, we didn't even know what we were gonna talk about. We had a good time. And I'm back and they're all together, and he's got a new name, and I'm made in China this week. So China. So we will see you next week with Bluebird on our shoulder. Tell a friend, find a MAGA for us to argue. That would be an exciting episode. So we'll go 3-on-1 or 1-on-1. You pick any of the three of us to argue. So, and the other two will just sit off to the side quietly and point and laugh at you anyway. I wouldn't do that. Yes, sir. All right. So Bluebird on your shoulder. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you next week with more fun shit show excitement from the Dancing Bears.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Like and subscribe.